I spoke in a recent video about the distinction between guilt and shame. So guilt being the ability to realize I did something wrong and I need to make amends and change that, therefore change my relationship to myself. And shame, which is one of those unbreakable, unchangeable states, which is I am bad, not I did bad. So how do you get out of that? If it's an I am state, how do you possibly change that? Well, with the help of a good therapist, hopefully. Somebody who can rid you of the necessity of living in the past and allow you doorways into a better future. Well, what about the difference between fear and anxiety, or I'll say anxiousness? Why not anxiety? Because I want to reserve that word for psychiatrists, psychologists, people who are professionals in that field. That's not me. I want to talk about the human state of being anxious. I'll call it anxiousness. So is there a distinction, is there a difference for you between being fearful and being anxious? I'll give you my perspective. I think fear is a good life force. Fear, like guilt, is good. It says stop, change directions, protect yourself, move away, close the tent if the bear is coming, close the door, right? Lock the doors, whatever it is. Fear is motivating us toward protecting ourselves and preserving life. So fear has an unfortunate but good place in our world and in our lives. It matters, it's necessary at times if it's not exploited or overused. But what about anxiousness? Anxiousness, I think, is a little different. I think anxiousness is the opposite of mindfulness or presence, because it's constantly living with a low level, or in some cases a high level state of fearfulness, of being in the past or being in the future but never in the present. If I'm anxious, I'm constantly concerned with what happened prior, what happened before, or what might happen in the future. It's the state of uncertainty. So who deals well with uncertainty? Those among us who are able to be mindful of this moment and say, in this mindful I am, and fill in the rest of the sentence, rather than going to what was that made me fearful or anxious, and what might be in what is for every human being a truly unknown future. I think about this in another way, which is that we have emergency exits in our lives, right? And on an emergency exit, it says, this is an emergency exit, right? An alarm will sound. In other words, don't go through that unless it's an emergency. And sometimes, fear, we need to go through that door. But often what happens is anxiety, we go through that door constantly over and over and over again until it ceases to function, until we no longer hear the alarm bells, until it's no longer serving us. So I offer you these thoughts in the hope that maybe with perspective, maybe this perspective, you can give a little reflection, some thought and time to the roles of fear and the roles of anxiousness in your life, in your story, and ask yourself if you might quell your anxiety or anxiousness simply by externalizing it positively, by connecting to somebody else's story, by being more generous with yourself, by listening, by talking to somebody about what you're what you're experiencing, and choosing people or a person whom you know will meet you where you are and hold you and allow you to just express yourself and allow you to know that they too have just the same human existence and the same challenges, and perhaps need your voice to quell their own worries and concerns as well. So here's to a calmer, more content day, week, and future.